From the Upco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson with Barry Trammell, and it's time for our weekly inbox segment. We take your email questions and try to answer them. Email us, and you might be on the inbox next week. Barry, let's go right to the inbox and a question from Tom. Tom says, boy, nothing like watching football on the New Year's holiday. It catches you up on what's happening in the SEC and the Big Ten. The Big 12 has one game today, while the Big Ten has 4, and the SEC has 4, and the Pac-12 has 2. The Big 12 has no games in Florida. Talk about a TV exposure difference. I guess this shows which conferences have leadership and which don't. Tom's obviously talking about January 2nd. No bowl games on the actual 1st this year, but the Big 12 wasn't exactly well represented there.
No, it wasn't, and we did have a run of Big Ten SEC games, the Outback Bowl, the Cap One Bowl, the Gator Bowl, all Big Ten SEC matchups. But I say, who cares? They're all on at the same time. Get them all out of the way at once. It's not like one after another. It's not like the second, the third, the fourth Big Ten SEC. They went head-to-head, sort of knocked each other out. Yeah. I don't see that as a problem. I think a Florida Bowl is sort of a good thing for the Big 12. They did have the Gator Alliance a few years ago. I think a Florida Bowl is important for West Virginia coming in, a place for West Virginia to go. But as far as the scheduling of Big Ten SEC, doesn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, I didn't really watch any more than one at a time. I don't know about anybody else. I guess you could have got your clicker going back and forth. But yeah, if they're all stacked up on different networks against each other, doesn't seem like that big of a deal. If ESPN would have said, okay, we're just going to have one at 11 and one at 2 and one at 5 and just lined them up that way, maybe different. But and as far as bowl alliances, though, Barry, I think it will be interesting to see what the Big 12 does with TCU and West Virginia coming in. I think they have to do some realigning there. I don't know where that comes, but I have to think there's some bowls that would like to get Big 12 teams involved.
Well, yeah, when you move that far east, you need to get a little more Eastern presence. So I don't know what can be done in that regard. It looks to me like West Virginia, in years when West Virginia is not top notch, West Virginia can count on the Pinstripe Bowl quite a bit. So, but of course, here's the deal in West Virginia, the way they took care of Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be playing in the Fiesta Bowl if somebody doesn't do something about it.
Definitely some top-notch bowls looking at that last night. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Bob. Bob says, I want Landry Jones back, but he does nothing to inspire us. He is so milquetoast that people want someone else. If he's hot and playing well, people will be bandwagon fans, but when he does not play well, his demeanor on the sideline just bugs people. Blake Bell fist pumps, screams, and high-fives everyone. Does not mean he can hit a 5-yard pass, but it inspires people. What about that, Barry?
Well, I mean, I take Bob's email to say this. He finds Landry Jones very boring. And of course he's right. Landry Jones is boring. But you don't win football games with inspirational quarterbacks. That's not who wins. I mean, Tim Tebow is a great story. It's fun. But you'd rather have Tom Brady. You'd rather have Peyton Manning. You'd rather have a mannequin.
You want a straight man.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
a winning quarterback no matter what.
I just think the inspiration thing's a little overdone. If Blake Bell's sitting in the pocket and having to complete 20 yards out and getting his head sacked, he's not going to be as fired up. So I think it's different personalities, but look at the great quarterbacks at OU. Josh Heupel, Sam Bradford, Jason White. Tell me when you get to somebody with overwhelming charisma.
Yeah, none of those guys were inspirational leaders, but definitely won a lot on the field, and people loved them. And I think this is an interesting question, the question of Blake Bell and his ability as an all-around quarterback. We've obviously seen what he can do in that power package, and I think he can throw it around a little bit, but we don't yet know, Barry, just what he can do. And obviously, if you're going to have him play full time, he's going to have to throw the ball and be consistent. We know he can run it in those short yardage situations, but I think that question of his all-around game is still yet to be determined. If Landry Jones returns, the Sooners are a ton better going into next year than if he goes. That's just the bottom line here.
Yeah, and beating Texas 55-17, that was pretty inspirational.
All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Craig. Craig says, when is the last time OU won a BCS game by beating a team ranked as high as Stanford? Oof, shot to the Sooners right here.
What they really are saying is, why can't OU do what OSU did? That's what the question really is. Why do we watch OSU beat a number 4 Stanford team in a great Fiesta Bowl, and the Sooners
don't? It's first time in the BCS,
and the Sooners don't do that. The answer to the question, if it's a literal question, the answer is the Florida State Orange Bowl is the last time OU won a BCS game against a team ranked that high. In recent years, when the Sooners have won a BCS game, Rose Bowl against Washington State, the Cougars were 9th or something, I think. And then Connecticut was off, not even on the radar last year in the Fiesta Bowl. But the truth is, Oklahoma has either struggled in bowls or not had a very good bowl matchup. Iowa, Connecticut, Stanford without Andrew Luck at the Sun Bowl. So props to Oklahoma State. The first chance on the big stage, and the Cowboys delivered. Sooners haven't been doing it.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I mean, I think, OSU, they had a chance to fold in that Fiesta Bowl. They had some rough stretches. Stanford really kind of was consistent beginning to end, as far as their offense, their defense. Oklahoma State had its struggles. They offensively were not moving in the first and third quarters like they did in the the second and the fourth. Their defense had times when they were just getting moved up and down the field on. But ultimately, they hung in there and got the job done. And Barry, that's what it takes in a game like that. They really had to bring it. And when they needed to, you're right. Props to them for getting the job done. That was a hard-fought victory for Oklahoma State on Monday night. Sooners
need to get back in the BCS business and win a big one because. It's nice to beat Connecticut, but Connecticut wasn't a big one.
That's right. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Tivis. Tivis says, will Brandon Weeden's age discriminate against him in the upcoming NFL draft? Quarterbacks are the slowest maturing athletes in professional football, maybe in all of professional sports. People in the Oklahoma and Texas region know of a quarterback that the Dallas Cowboys had that did not start a game until he was 30. That, of course, was Roger Staubach. What about the question of age and Brandon Weeden?
Well, Todd Monken answered the question down in Arizona. He was asked this question. He said, yes, it's going to be a factor in where Weeden is drafted. He said, now, was it a big deal? No. But is it a deal? Yes. When the guy's 28 and the guy's 22, if you're an NFL franchise, you'd rather have the 22-year-old. You're going to get a more mature guy at 28, but you're going to get the 22-year-old for longer. So it's going to be a factor. I think that's one of the things that's causing Weeden to slide down the draft, the draft list. So I don't expect him to be a first-round pick, mainly because of that.
Yeah, and you know what, though? Even though it is a factor, all it takes is one team to like you, one team to say, you know what, this is the guy we need for somebody to draft you. I do think it'll be a second or third day pick for Brandon Weeden, but still, he's going to have a great opportunity. It might be a situation where he gets on a team where he could play a little bit quicker or learn under somebody that maybe is getting ready to be on their way out. I think there are some great opportunities for him out there. And Barry, you mentioned Todd Monken. Todd Monken, having been in the NFL, he knows what quarterbacks are out there. I think he also said something along the lines of Brandon Weeden is better than a lot of these guys in the NFL right now. He can play at the NFL level. There's no doubt about it.
Well, if anybody saw I think it was a 28-yard out pattern to Josh Cooper.
Beautiful pass.
I can't remember my directions in Phoenix, but going from right to left, it was an unbelievable pass. It was a big-time throw. It's the kind of throw you have to make in the NFL, and it's the kind of throw very few guys can make. Brandon Weeden can make it.
NFL scouts were there because of Andrew Luck and Brandon Weeden and also Justin Blackman. They saw that. They'll take note of it for sure. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.